morning, boys and girls of the internet. Today is Monday, July 23rd, 2018. Vlog number 203. This will be the last, I believe, in my old school video game blathering, maybe reminiscing about good old school video games, because anything beyond this, I think, won't be old school anymore, and I'm just talking about video games. So, we're going to conclude this with the PS2. I loved my PS2. Now, I was a little hurt that the PS2 was killing the Dreamcast, and had killed the Dreamcast. And of course, I had my PS2 pre-ordered. I had EP Games, I believe it was. I had mine day one. In fact, ever since then, I've had all my PlayStation consoles since day one, since when they came out. PS3, day one, PSP, PS Vita, PS4, and so PS2, my first one that I got the first day it came out. And that thing was a beast. I still have, I have the original old school PS2. I don't have the Slim, but it wasn't the original one that I bought because, stupid me, I tried to modify it myself. There were modifications, people were doing to PS2s. I tried to modify it my own self, and I messed it up, and I killed it. So, bad on me. So, I got a new one, and been enjoying it. That thing gave me probably the most enjoyment out of any other console, probably combined. I mean, yeah, in the 16-bit days, 8-bit days, those are a lot of amazing times. But I think in pure, this is where video games became modern. This is where video games grew up, was the PS2, and that really, really, was a time that story and cinema mattered. That's when I kind of knew at that time that I enjoy story single-player games more than any other genre. I still do to this day. I don't play multiplayer or nothing. Granted, it wasn't many options for multiplayer for PS2 back in the day. But I mean, in terms of if you want to play in a system that has pure story action, like the cinema quality of the games in terms of immersing you in the game, PS2 was where it was right. That's where it was at. I can't speak this morning. These two eyes. Ugh. Must be tired. Anyway, I can go on for ages about all the PS2 games I like. Let me just run down a quick list off the top of my head. And then I didn't really think about this ahead of time too much. But of course, up there, Metal Gear. And I love Metal Gear Solid 2. But also Metal Gear 3 was amazing as well. Snake Eater. That was probably the better of the two. But I remember when, of course, everybody, what do they call it? The Kojima switcheroo. Back in E3, and I saw it. I was there when they showed the first trailer for Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, for PS2. Everybody didn't believe that. First of all, they didn't believe that it was in-game footage. I was, simply blown away because they showed that awesome, tanker level where it was all rainy and Snake, bungeed down onto the deck of the tanker. The rain was splashing off. Electricity was flying off his stealth suit, and it was just so awesome. And people didn't think it was real time, but it was. And for many years, people kept doubting whenever they saw game trailers, and they thought it was too good to be true. So they doubted it. A couple of games, yes, way later on that it did do that. But Metal Gear never did that. Metal Gear always showed what the end product was going to be like. Now, what people didn't know is when they showed that tanker level in that trailer, they didn't know that that tanker was the only time you were going to play Snake in the game. So they switched it off on you, and they gave you a whole new character to play with, and it kind of pissed off a lot of people. Years later, when PS3's Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, and you were playing Snake again, they gave you Raiden, as a side, that it showed up, and they made Raiden cool again. And I was like, damn, we hated on Raiden, but in Metal Gear 2, he was a doofus. Metal Gear 4, they made him cool again. It's kind of funny. But no, he was it was kind of a shock, for sure, to no longer be playing Snake in this game. Either way, though, I still enjoyed the hell out of the game. I thought it was still an excellent game. So Kojima's still to this day making amazing experiences that you can't find anywhere else. He's a master at his craft. Metal Gear, and Solid 3. That game was so epic because it was a return to form in terms of here's Snake for the whole game, but it wasn't Solid Snake. It was what turns out to be Big Boss. They call him Naked Snake in the game. He's going in kind of without support. This was also a return to like the old school Metal Gears, where they were set like in jungle environments and of course with pretty awesome visuals, epic boss encounters. Everything was so the cinematic quality of that game was out of sight. So Metal Gears for sure. That's very top of the list of PS2 games. Shadow of Colossus, another epic game. People know by now how good it is. Back then, it was kind of a cult, underground type of thing. Like, no one really knew about Team Ico and the games that they make. Ico was kind of quirky, but Shadow of Colossus was simply epic. It was simple in structure, but it really was an emotional piece of art. If video games can be art, Shadow of the Colossus is art, and I can say that without a doubt. Because, what is art? To me, art is something that moves you, and Shadow of the Colossus moved me. I know that for a fact. One of the few games that also made me cry as well. Can't say that for too many games. Also, epic games on PS2. I really loved Final Fantasy 12. Not a lot of people liked 12. It was the only true Final Fantasy game for the PS2. They had Final Fantasy 11, but that was an online game and very experimental, and I totally didn't even touch that because I wasn't touching online on that. But Final Fantasy 12 is, in my mind, one of the most intriguing stories from a Final Fantasy game that came out in a while, because it wasn't about I'm just some big baddie that I want to either take over the world or I want to destroy the world, or I'm just gonna cause chaos or something. It wasn't about that. It was more political and more intriguing in a way that there were societies, there were kingdoms that were kind of going against one another, and it was kind of like a war, but it was very political in that aspect. And in one way, you can kind of look at it as like, okay, who's the good guys and who's the bad guys? But obviously your side that you were on were kind of the good guys, obviously. But from anybody else's perspective, in a game like that or a story like that, it could be either side. But I just enjoyed it for that. Characters were amazing. Fran is my waifu. I mean, who doesn't love sexy bunny girls? Moving along, Devil May Cry series. That was an awesome series on PS2. I loved also Onimusha. I wish they would make another Onimusha series. Now, that's a series that as they were making, they made some awesome like CG cutscenes. And what was cool is the characters in that game, they like model them after real live actors, and especially in Onimusha 2, the characters really looked like the actors, and that was really cool. The opening cutscene in that game, God, that was so awesome. I could watch that over and over again till this day. Some other kind of off the wall games I like for PS2. PS2 has some, without a doubt. I mean, before I kind of continue naming games, without a doubt it was the system that really cemented gaming as something mainstream. Everybody bought PS2. It is the most successful home console to date. Nothing else came close. But they also came out with some weird ass games for it. You got Stretch Panic. I love that game. That game was fun. Katamari Damacy. I mean, who's to think about a game that you roll up whatever random objects around in a room into a ball, and you just keep rolling, your ball keeps getting bigger. That's the point of the game. But it was so fun and so funny, and like games like that, you just play and you just have a smile on your face the whole time. That's gaming. That's cool. That's awesome. And of course, now I should kind of include this only because it's around the same time PS2. I didn't have an Xbox at the time. I did have a GameCube, and I'll interject this. I'm not going to have a whole episode talking about GameCube because, yeah, there was a couple of good GameCube games that I liked, but only one deserves mentioning. That's Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was so epic, and it came out on PS2 later on. So I will include some of this because it is an awesome PS2 game. It was an awesome GameCube game first. That it redefined what Resident Evil was, but it did it in a great way that it made it so much better. It improved upon everything in the game, but still felt like Resident Evil. You know what I mean? And it was funny that it came out in GameCube first. Oh well. Now, moving on to other PS2 games that were awesome. Following the tradition of from the first PlayStation, there was all kinds of good franchises that transitioned over. One of them was Twisted Metal. They made Twisted Metal Black for PS2, and it was just as fun as the original Twisted Metal games, but they put a more darker, twisted tone to the game. The original games were dark already, but they really took advantage of the PS2's power to make it like, much more detailed in terms of they gave it like dark, twisted like cinematics. The soundtrack was freaking amazing. Characters were creepy as hell as well. I love also they made new Gran Turismo for it, and it looked beautiful on PS2 for the day. Another game I actually didn't mention this for PS1. I liked for PS1, but I also liked the PS2 ones, was Ridge Racer. Those games were just fun. Buddy of mine, he likes them a lot more than I do, but I do remember though, like when the first one came out, when the first one for PS2 came out, everybody made fun of it because it was very. They didn't do such a good job like optimizing it for PS2 because it came out very early. I think it was one of the first games that launched with the PS2, and they call it Ridge Racer because it had all these jagged edges and stuff. They didn't have very good anti-aliasing back then. That's funny. Wipeout series was good. They made good Wipeout series on PS1. But the ones for PS2, that was epic as well. What else is awesome? I can go down a whole list of awesome PS2 games. Of course, no mention of PS2. Probably without a doubt, one of the most recognizable and played by everybody, was Grand Theft Auto series. They made earlier Grand Theft Auto games on PS1 that weren't nearly as recognizable. People didn't play it all that much in PS1. But when they finally made the jump to PS2, and it was a fully realized traversable 3D world, you can go around doing whatever you want, and cause crimes and go on all kinds of these freaking missions and steal things and just have a blast. Grand Theft Auto, was definitely revolutionary for the time. And of course, they had the controversy with San Andreas. But I didn't really care about that crap. I mean, the game was still fun, but controversy didn't bother me. I thought it was more funnier than anything else. Let's see. Zone of the Enders was an awesome game, also by Konami, Hideo Kojima. That game was just so out there in terms of you pilot a giant mech and everything was super fast paced, very flashy, very bright, and it had the anime-esque quality to it that I liked.
And always responsibility.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Let's see. In terms of role-playing games, it had some amazing role-playing games. I mentioned Final Fantasy 12 already.
I think it used to.
They have the Grow Lancer series. Grow Lancer was an awesome series.
Makes me feel grown up.
They had one that I still have that unfortunately I didn't play as much as I wanted to. It's called Magna Carta. And the reason why I liked that game and I really wanted it is because it had art by a Korean artist by the name of Hung Tae Kim. Now, Hung Tae Kim, his artwork is freaking amazing. His character designs are really colorful and unique. Outfits are something that not very realistic outfits, but they're really unique. And of course, the way he draws his women, super hot. Love it. They made a game for PS2 called Magna Carta, and it's a pretty good role-playing game. Another great PS2 franchise, Burnout series. I love the Burnout series, especially what was it, Burnout 3 Takedown? That was the pinnacle of the series, that's for sure. Without a doubt, one of the better of the series. And just crashing and freaking destroying everything. That shit was just so badass. I mentioned before that PS2 had all kinds of different genres that you wouldn't really expect that a lot of people would play. But I mean, I'm not a sports game person, but one of the awesome games on PS2 was the SSX series. SSX is a snowboarding series, especially if you got SSX3. The game's so awesome. It's so much fun. Just bombing down this huge, gigantic, endless mountain almost. It seemed endless, but and just pulling off all kinds of tricks and stuff like that. This shit was awesome. Silent Hill for PS2, that was an amazing game. Was it Silent Hill The Room? Creepy as fuck. Man, I love that game. One other game that I really enjoyed, it was made by the same people who made Burnout. It wasn't a racing game, it was a shooting game. I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters in general, but this game was freaking awesome. It was called Black. It's simply called Black. Name didn't give anything the game away. I mean, it's kind of an odd name, but it was so cool that it was the first few games that it felt that when you were shooting, like your bullets made an impact. It felt heavy and felt very awesome to shoot things. You shot things and just, like I said, it feels impactful. And it made the whole game feel awesome to play. And it wasn't an online game either. It was a first-person shooter that just had a straight-up campaign mode, just story. Didn't have any multiplayer options whatsoever. Speaking of shooters, I did like the first Killzone game. It wasn't one of the best, but I did enjoy it. Even though it did have some funny glitches in the game. The game wasn't like 100% finished. Goofy ass glitches. I remember one time like I ran up to an enemy dude and like his face was turned side up. That's funny shit. People like fall on the ground, with limbs like flail about, because of the physics in it are bad. That still happens till today, so I mean I haven't got that straightened out. Another awesome franchise started on PS2, the Ratchet and Clank series. This is where like platforming games from like the old school days, it really grew up and really hit a stride. I think the Ratchet and Clank, it really nailed it. Nailed that feeling of a 3D platformer. In my mind, to do a platforming game, even till today, it's really hard to do and get it right. But the Ratchet and Clank series really did get them right. It really felt like you were playing through this, awesome cartoony world that, had awesome weapons, great customizability, and the whole series was really good. Along the same veins, Jak and Daxter. Jak and Daxter was like that as well. But again, it was a great, 3D platforming game. The first Jak and Daxter wasn't quite as epic as, wasn't quite as big as a platformer. Like, it's kind of like, low key. But by the time they got to like Jak 3, Jak 3 was just so freaking amazing. That was, they really like made it like almost like an open world type of game, but like a platformer. And it just made it super fun. What else we got out there? And the PS2, it had such a huge library of games. And of course it had, some great import games too. What did I import for that? I know I had a couple of them. There was a few good wrestling games on it. But of course, I'm not going to mention any of the WWE ones. It had Rumble Roses. Rumble Roses was a wrestling game by Konami, all with female wrestlers. And these female wrestlers are hot. Freaking love that game. I wish I made another one. They made another. They made a second one for, I think, Xbox 360 later on. Didn't get a chance to play that much, but I just wish they made another one like now. Like, that'd be so cool. But there was some other good like fighting games, like they made like Blaze Blue. That was awesome. Guilty Gear was an awesome game. The whole Guilty Gear series was cool. Guilty Gear Double X. And of course, you got like your newer Tekken games. You can get. They had Street Fighter, I believe Third Strike came out, or Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, I should say. I would have kicked myself would have forgot this. Here I am playing God of War. I completely forgot about God of War starting on PS2. I didn't forget. I just forgot to mention it. So. Love the God of War series on PS2. Hands down. One of the most awesome series. Another game that was pretty interesting, I almost completely forgot about, was a game called Demon Stone. It was like a kind of an action RPG. It was set in the Forgotten Realms series of fantasy books kind of thing. All from like the D&D era. And it was actually, the story was written by my favorite authors, which is why I love the game, R.A. Salvatore. He writes all kinds of good fantasy books. He actually wrote a couple of Star Wars books. But in his Forgotten Realms books, his most famous character he ever read was Drizzt. And he's actually a character in Demon Stone. He's he just like plays a cameo in it, but the game itself is actually really cool. Can't forget about Prince of Persia series. That was an awesome series. Well, I love the first one. The second one was good, and they kind of started going downhill from there. But the first game I really enjoyed. Odin Sphere. Odin Sphere was freaking amazing. Odin Sphere was like a side-scrolling RPG type game, and the visuals were freaking amazing. Like, it was all hand-drawn, or hand-painted, I should say. Everything would look very much like a oil painting kind of, and freaking beautiful. Can't get much better than that. Another awesome game if you like RPGs and epics that are kind of like Zelda. There's a game called Okami. Okami was a freaking amazing game because you actually play a wolf. You play this like white wolf. You're like the sun god or sun goddess, I should say, in a wolf form. And it had like a cell shading to it. Very, very awesomely epic for that game. Yakuza series. That series started on PS2. It was pretty good. I enjoyed that. And well, there's a couple other really fun PS2 games that I kind of enjoyed. They weren't like super epics that are must plays, but like they made a couple cool anime based games. Like they made some cool Naruto games. They made some pretty cool Dragon Ball fighting games, some Dragon Ball Z games. Those I enjoyed. Overall, like, whatever you were looking for in terms of gaming, the PS2 had it. It had it in spades. But the only thing it didn't have, in comparison to today, was online capabilities. Now, it did have online in terms of you can get like an adapter for the old PS2s, and you can get online with a few games, but that wasn't the focus of the PS2. It was You know, you play like SOCOM. SOCOM was really fun for a lot of people. I didn't play, like I said, I didn't really get into that stuff, but pretty much any other type of genre game other than online multiplayer, you went to PS2 for. I think that's kind of where people, kind of split in terms of, what they were looking for in terms of gaming. When people started seeing the advent of online gaming and what it brought to the table, they started to move over to Xbox because that was designed with online gaming in mind. And so when people started to get like that online hook, they shifted over to Xbox because Xbox just did online gaming better, without a doubt. That's always how they've been, and they kind of stuck that way for a while. Nowadays, Sony, Microsoft, they're both excellent with online gaming. So, other than that, there was a few handful of other games on PS2 that I could mention, but this video is already getting kind of long. I kind of already went over all my favorite games on PS2. PS2 is a beast. Don't get me wrong. It's I still love all my memories from playing PS2 games. It was the best time. Like I said, it was the best time I had for the longest time because I was out for so long. The PS2 was it dominated for ages, even well after PS3 came out. But I think that's about it for today, and that's all for my kind of look back into gaming past. Going all the way from 8-bit days. In fact, going before that, talking about Atari days, all the way through 16-bit, 32-bit. And they stopped counting them as bits after that. What they call PS2 a 128-bit system or something, but no one really counts that anymore. Like, they just kind of started calling them generational. Like, currently we're in the eighth generation, so that would make the PS2 6th generation. And God, I still remember that PS9 commercial. That shit was so epic. If you don't remember it, I'll pop it at the tail end of this just because it was such an epic commercial. It just like the future starts here, and like it just shows the PS2, and who knows if any of that will come to pass, but because here we are, PS4, PS5 is coming out, so we're kind of in the middle of the midway point between the PS2 and the PS9 pretty soon here. So give it another 20 years, who knows where gaming will be. Maybe we will have a PS9, and maybe we'll live up to the promise of the commercial. Oh well, that'd be funny. Okay, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed my couple day look back, old school video games and the games that I liked. So I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good day. I love you.
New for 2078. PlayStation 9's new electronic spores tap straight into your adrenal gland. PS9 has improved retinal scanning. A mind control system. Holographic movie surround vision. And telepathic personal music. The ultimate just got better. PlayStation 9. Teleport yours today.